Sixties, starring Dr. Johnny L. and his Madmen Band.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, Doc?
I'm good, thank you. Combine the voice behind over 1,000 cartoons such as Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny with the whitest singer ever to be included on a compilation record called Loud, Black and Proud. Add a piercing la 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 and lyrics vaguely about the fastest mouse in all Mexico, and you'll get
Speedy Gonzales.
I'm Dr. Johnny L. from the Madmen Band. Welcome to the 60s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it's the 60s, the show about the greatest decades so far, the 60s. This episode is about the song Speedy Gonzales, made famous by Pat Boone in 1962. Speedy Gonzales was first released in 1961 by David Hess, who also wrote the song together with Ethel Lee and Buddy Kaye, but it hardly reached any charts. But the year after, Speedy Gonzales was released as a single with Pat Boone, rendering him his second platinum single, the first one being Love Letters in the Sand in 1957. Never mind his 11 gold singles and 2 gold albums. The Pat Boone version of Speedy Gonzales spent 13 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 6 on the chart. The Pat Boone version, I say? Well, what you tend to remember with this song is perhaps not Pat Boone's well-behaved crooning vocals, but rather the piercing la la la. And this was sung by Jackie Ward, who, under the name of Robin Ward, had a hit the following year with Wonderful Summer. Or maybe you remember the nasal voice speaking in mock Mexican. You know, the semi-racist, "Hey, Rosita, I have to go shopping downtown for my mother. She needs some tortillas and chili peppers." And that voice belonged to Mel Blanc, who did Speedy's voice in the cartoon.
You mean Speedy Gonzales, the fastest mouse in all Mexico?
That'll be the one. And not only Speedy's. He did over 1,000 voices in over 5,000 movies. Tomcat in Tom and Jerry, Barney and the Flintstones, Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, Tweety and Sylvester, and, of course, Bugs Bunny. Now hold on. There's a story. No idea if it's true or not, but never mind. It's a good one. You'll like it. Mr. Blanc was in a violent car accident. In hospital, doctors and friends tried to wake him from his coma with no result. Until a cartoon fan doctor shouts, "Bugs Bunny, are you there?" And lo and behold, Mel answers, "What's up, Doc?" in Bugs' voice. True story? No idea. Oh, and do you know what it says on Mel Blanc's headstone? That's all, folks. Genius. Okay, so that's Mel. But this Pat Boone character then, who is he? Well, our Mexico correspondent Little Miss Lonely knows. Little Miss Lonely, can you hear me?
Yes, Johnny, I hear you loud and clear like the Mexican sky.
Glad to hear, Little Miss Lonely, glad to hear. Now, could you please tell us something about Mr. Boone?
I'd be happy to. Charles Eugene Boone, called Pat by a few millions of his closest friends. I call him Pat. Born in 1934 in Jacksonville, Florida. Known in the late 50s as the safe alternative to Elvis and the third most selling artist after the King himself and Fats Domino during the early heyday of rock and roll. Yes, he was mainly referred to as a rock and roll singer in the late 50s, although a safe rock and roll singer, whatever that is.
So, very successful he was right from the start, Mr. Boone, was he?
Indeed. In 1957, aged 23, Pat Boone had 1. Sold over 13 million copies of his records in 2 years. 2. Signed a $3 million TV show contract. And 3. Signed a $1 million Hollywood movie deal.
Now that's impressive. Well, Little Miss Lonely, we're running out of time here, but why don't you fire away a few more Pat Boone facts for our viewers?
Very well, Johnny. Here goes. In the far future, that is in the 1980s, Pat Boone will be fired from his TV host job for doing heavy metal covers. He was later rehired. Pat Boone is represented on the 4-disc compilation Black, Proud and Loud, Early Pioneers of Rock and Roll, with a song about bingo.
Bingo? Really? Well, thank you, Little Miss Lonely, live and direct from Mexico.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Big thoughts? Big hunger? Desperate for some tortillas and chili pepper? Can't wait? Well, don't pick up the phone. Just think. Speedy Gonzales Mexican food and mind reading. Your order will be delivered before you even order it. Speedy Gonzales, the fastest food in all Mexico. It's on delay.
And we're back! Back again here in the 60s with more important stuff about Speedy Gonzales. Now, in Europe, Speedy Gonzales was doing good too, selling over 1 million copies over the continent and being covered in a dozen languages such as French, German, Spanish, obviously, and Finnish. There's a version with the verses and choruses in English, but the Mexican spoken parts in Cantonese. There are Italian versions, Serbo-Croatian versions. There's virtually no end to the amount of cover versions of Speedy Gonzales. You'd think the songwriting trio and their bank accounts be very thankful to Mr. Boone, right? So, Speedy Gonzales is a song about the fastest mouse in all Mexico. But there were a lot of other songs in the 60s about all kinds of animals. And to get some examples, I'm now calling Bill Cosby, once in a basketball team in Hollywood Studio League that Pat Boone sponsored and played in. I have his number here and I'm gonna dial it on my Mars phone. 7, 9, another 9, 2. It's ringing. Hello, Bill?
Speaking.
Bill? Not Bill? Really?
Nah, not really.
Okay. Not Bill Cosby. Could you tell us which animals they used to sing about in the 60s?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I can, since I just finished my dissertation on pop animals. Now I want to be your dog, which is about animals in music throughout history.
Well, fire away, please, Dr. Not Bill Cosby.
Okay, Puppy Love, Pretty Flamingo, Running Bear, Puff the Magic Dragon, Birds and the Bees, Scott Walker's Les Chansons de Jackie mentions elephants, the pink ones, actually.
Yeah, all right, thank you. I think our viewers understand that there is an infinite amount of...
And don't get me started on the Beatles. I'm the walrus. Everybody's got something to hide except for me and my monkey. Martha, my dear. Go cover versions of Leave My Kitten Alone and Three Cool Cats and Hey Bulldog.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Not Bill Cosby. Exegetes. Can't stop him. Well, folks, time is up.
No, it isn't. No,
It
it
isn't?
isn't. No, it isn't.
You?
Yes, me. What's up, Doc?
Well, what's up, Tex? Audience, this is Tex Madison of the Madman Band. This Tex is
Yeah. Okay, look, that's not important. You know what is important? Is to give Pat Boone some serious Fats Domino cred.
Oh, do tell.
Well, okay, some of you may have laughed a little at Pat Boone's vanilla versions of American rhythm and blues and rock and roll songs like Tutti Frutti, Good Rockin' Tonight, Long Tall Sally, and Boone was often criticized for stealing black music from the original artists.
Was he really?
He really was, but Fats Domino stood up for old Pat, claiming the biggest ring on Fat's finger, Pat Boone bought him.
How do you mean?
Okay, it's simple, right? Pat Boone recorded a version of Fats Domino's Ain't That a Shame, which, following the rules of 1960s music, outsold the original, thus giving Fats royalties enough to buy diamond roll rings for all of his fingers, even if he had 8 arms with which to hold you, which, he didn't have 8 arms.
Well, Tex Madison, ladies and gentlemen. Tex Madison. Yeah, thank you, Tex, for that enormously important piece of fact. Now, that's all, folks, but I'd like to thank Little Miss Lonely, Tex Madison, Dr. Not Bill Cosby, and of course our sponsor, Speedy's Fast Food and Mind Reading, and our producers, Porter and Terrell Syndrome, Tinstream, and Megapixel. If there is anything else worth knowing about Speedy Gonzales that we haven't covered, or if there is anything else on your 60s mind, tell us in the comments. Listen to the Madman Band's version of Speedy Gonzales here, and listen to a few other versions of Speedy, including David Hess' original here. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, you're always welcome back to the 60s. See you soon. 1, 2, 3, 4!